This tutorial video will explain how to create a reference page using APA Style 6th edition.
The final part of the paper you must create is your reference page. You must start the reference page list at a new page. You type references in the center of the page, not works cited, not bibliography, it's references. It is not in bold type. It's just plain references. Any source that is cited within the text must appear in the reference list. Likewise, each reference entry in the reference list must have an in-text citation somewhere in the text. So this is an example of a reference list. You still have your headings like you had on the rest of your paper, references in the center of the top line, and then your entries are alphabetized according to the first author's last name. Then you go according to year the article was written. You must give a hanging indent as part of each reference. You do this by going into the paragraph settings of Word, and it'll help you do that. Do not try to do these references as part of the reference maker that is part of Word. It always messes it up, and style guides change, and Word does not always update to be able to do this. So before we start looking at specific reference examples, let's look at a few rules you need to consider. You still double space everything, and all reference entries are alphabetized. Use the hanging indent. This is where you are to space once after punctuation. You do this in all parts of the references. You space once after initials of people's names. This is something that people like to mess up. Always use italics instead of underlining. Do not italicize punctuation that is not part of the actual title. And remember, if a source does not have a date, use N period, D period in both the reference list and in the in-text citation. This is an example of a basic book formatted APA citation. You always start with the author's last name, comma, then the author's initials. Make sure to space once in between each. In parentheses, then you'll have the publication year, the title of the book. The main thing to remember here is you only capitalize the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle, and any proper nouns or adjectives. And then you're going to have the publication city and publication state, or publication city and publication country. You must have both. You cannot leave one out. And then you're going to have the publisher. Let's look at the basic journal article reference entry. The author is done just like it is in a book. You're always going to have the publication year in parentheses period. This is where it differs from using a book. You are to have the title of the article. The rule for the title of the article follows the rule that you did with the book. You only capitalize the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle, and any proper nouns or adjectives. Then you're going to have the title of the publication. You are to capitalize all the words except for your minor words like of in the title of the journal. Then you'll have the volume number and the issue number. Now the title of the journal and the volume number are italicized. The issue number is not. Then you will have the page number for the journal article. And then you end it with a period. Some articles will have an electronic DOI number at the end of it. The DOI number is just a number you can stick in a special search engine that'll find this article electronically on the web. Not all journal articles have a DOI number. If it does have one, it is to be included as part of the reference. It goes at the end, and there is no period following it at the end of the reference. If there's not a DOI number, then you do not have to include it and you don't have to worry about it. The only journal articles that will have a URL at the end of them are journals that are housed not in the database. These are journals that are housed on like university websites. They will have a link that you are to place as part of the reference entry, and you'll put retrieve from and then the link. But if you're getting it from the database, you do not have to do this. If you're getting it off of Google and it's taking you to a link, then it's found at like some university website for your journal article, then yes, you have to have the link. This is an example of an APA citation for a website. You have whoever wrote the article first. It may be a group. If it's usually a group, then usually that goes after the title. For example, this is one where you have the title first because it was a group that wrote it and not an individual. So this also didn't have a date, so that's why I have the N period, D period. So if it's a group, then you'll have the group that wrote it afterwards, and then you'll have the link retrieve from and the link that'll take it you to the actual article you're using. More examples of APA can be found at the Purdue OWL website. Also, I have a handout, and this is the link that'll take you to the handout I have on APA that just gives some outline and some other examples. If you have any questions or you'd like me to review something on APA, feel free to email me at kfarmer10@murraystate.edu for any questions.